Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chassidus in the morning, Kuntres HaTefila. Today we're going to do two prakim, Yud Zayin, Yud Ches, and that's the end of the Sefer. And then we're going to go, Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow, back to the beginning. Just in short, what we're going to say in Yud Zayin, he's going to say, basically, you have to learn Shulchan Aruch, you have to know Shulchan Aruch, because the purpose of davening ultimately is to have that connection with the Eibishter and to really have the Eibishter in our lives as the focal point. So part of that is knowing what the Eibishter wants from us. It's like in a relationship, if a husband and a wife, they say they love each other and they care about each other, but they don't ever learn what makes the other one happy, what's their, so to speak, love language, so it's not going to work. So the Eibishter has told us his love language, that's Torah mitzvahs. So that's what he wants from us. And so when we do Torah mitzvahs, we have to learn Shulchan Aruch to know how to do the Torah mitzvahs. That's essentially what we're going to see. And a few things we're going to talk about learning that would inspire you to have more avanir. Chapter 17, page 150. The study of Shulchan Aruch. This chapter explains the necessity of studying Shulchan Aruch so that we will know how to act properly. Yeah. Starting practical law, I would like to mention, this is the Rebbe Rashab saying, it's like, he's like talking one-on-one to us. I'd like to mention a duty placed upon us by the law of Torah study, Hilchos Talmud Torah. In several of his letters and in his introduction to the Shulchan Aruch, the saintly Mitzler Rebbe, his soul rests in Eden, may his merit protect us, expounded on the directive. So the Mitzler Rebbe expounded on the directive of having to learn Shulchan Aruch. Namely, every single individual, including one who is adept in the study of Talmud and its commentaries and the works of the Rishonim Achronim, and who recalls what he learns, is obligated to study and establish laws that have practical application. So essentially what he's saying is that even if you know how to learn well, meaning you know how to learn Gemara with all the Rishonim Achronim, and you can sit there for hours delving deeply into all the minute details of the Gemara and why does use this letter and this word and things like this. Why is the Mishnah talking this language? And that's sort of like a high level of learning. He said, but it's important that you have to also learn the practical halachas. What do you need to do? It's not enough, to just learn these things. Rishonim Achronim, meaning he's also the commentaries and meaning what's halacha. But it's like he's saying, essentially, it's like learning Rambam. It's not enough. It's good to learn Rambam, especially the Rebbe told us to learn Rambam, to give us a good understanding of halacha and connect all the Jewish people through learning Rambam. But Rambam is not the final halachic authority. And so he's saying we have to learn what's that halachic, what's the final halachic decision. Therefore, everyone is required to study the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch or Chaim from beginning to end. So therefore, we should all learn the Shulchan Aruch, Alter Shulchan Aruch, which he brings down, especially in those times, and the what's up to date, halachic decisions that are brought down. We should learn, but the section of Orach Chaim, which is the daily life conduct type of things, that helps us with the day-to-day, knowing how to say brachas, knowing how to daven, and to get dressed and things like this. Keeping Shabbos from beginning till end, it explains clearly and succinctly the reason for each law in a palpable manner. And the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Alter of Shulchan Aruch, explains the reasonings and everything in a very understandable way. Each person should schedule a fixed time daily to study and review the aforementioned Shulchan Aruch, so that he will know how to conduct himself properly in all areas pertinent to his spiritual well-being. So now that you know how to behave, you're all inspired, davening, and you're all inspired and you're connected to God. So you have to make sure to know Shulchan Aruch how to behave. What's the Jewish way of behaving, so to speak. And it's also very interesting. He says you should spend time every day to learn and review, to study and review. And it's, a quick story. The Rosh Yeshiva of, I think, Lubavitch Yeshiva, he knows the whole Shulchan Aruch, I don't know the whole, but for sure the Orach Chaim by Baal Peh, by heart. So I think someone asked him, I heard the story, how does he do it? So we think that he's, he's genius. Now maybe he's also a genius, but what does he do? he learns halacha, he reads through one of the halachas, then he closes the sefer, and he tries to see how much he remembered, and then he tries to work on that to make sure he understood it well, and he remembered most of it. Then in the night before he goes to bed, he goes over it again, and then in the morning, he wakes up, the first thing after he says brachas, he goes over that halacha again. So he goes over it about 4 times. So now, 4 times he starts to learn things about prayer. So we think, a lot of times I feel like we think that some people have good heads, some people don't. But I think it's some people, it's a few people have good heads. Most people, they put the effort in. Most people think they need to have a good head for it. They don't put in the effort. I have another quick story. I have a friend that he's Bal Niguna. He knows a lot of Nigunim. So another one of my friends asked him, how long does it take you to learn a Nigun? So he says, I listen to every Nigun about 300 times. I was like, whoa. I thought he also had this brilliant mind for a good ear, but he just spent 300 times in each Nigun. If I spent 300 times in each Nigun, I would also know that many Nigunim. His chiddush is not that he has a good mind as much as he's put in the effort. It's the same thing here. If we put in the effort, we'll understand halachas. One should also schedule a special time daily. Most auspicious time is at night after Ma'ariv prayer for the study of ethical works that are based on the Midrashim, Agados, and passages from the Zohar. So learn Midrashim on the Torah and Agados, which is like the Ein Yaakov, which is like the stories of the Gemara. And he explains in passages from the Zohar to infuse one's heart with a love of God, His Torah and Avodah. And the purpose is to infuse us with a love with Hashem and His Torah and putting in the effort, doing the Avodah. Yeah, very interesting. Summary. The laws of Torah study obligates us to schedule regular times for the study of Shulchan Aruch so that we will know how to act properly. Yeah, so basically learning Shulchan Aruch, because after all said and done, we have to also know how to do things, practically, how to behave in certain situations. What does halacha tell us to do? And yeah, pretty straightforward. Last chapter, chapter 18, studying for the sake of performance. And ultimately he's going to say here that sort of take to heart what we talked about and we got inspired, but try to make a plan of action of how to actually do it. Now, I would say that it's a Ferengen that we should have with me or without me. You guys should have Ferengen. But the most important thing is to ask ourselves, what's one practical step that I can take in this? Or what have I changed? How has this changed? What we've learned so far, we haven't even finished the whole thing, but what we've learned so far, how has this changed me? And what's one small step that I can do that it's really bite-sized, I can do it and I can try. And then we'll accomplish something, we'll have achieved something. Let's see. The necessity for Avodah. I have explained to you the necessity of Avodah in prayer. And also you should feel when we read this, it says when you learn the person that was there, that you're learning, he's standing next to you. It also says that Eibishter, Hashem is also the person. So the Rebbe Rashab is here with us, and he's standing there, and we're reading, and he's reading with us, but he's talking to us. I've explained to you the necessity of Avodah in prayer, being utterly crucial to the spiritual health of every individual, and how to engage in, and what constitutes the Avodah during prayer, according to the true teachings of our venerable forebears. The Rebbes, their souls rest in the hidden heights, may their merit protect us. So he says, I've already explained to you the importance, meaning not just we should do, but how important this is to our well-being, our spiritual well-being, connection to God and our spiritual lives. Study to fulfill, my beloved brethren and friends. See how in very, very loving words. Take very well to heart all that I have written herein. Have compassion upon your souls. Study for the purpose of knowing God. Study seriously and analytically so that you understand the subject matter clearly and thoroughly. So learn it well so you can really understand what it's saying. Why? Because what it's saying is information that's going to help you transform your life. Yet study with a specific objective of performing, i.e. to serve God through the study, with genuine avodah of the heart and mind during prayer, and study with it and use it and gain the ability to be able to daven with it and think about and meditate on what the concept is saying during davening, to bring salvation to your souls, to refine and purify your natural emotive traits, and to refine ourselves and to purify our emotions our emotions, and so we can transform our emotions to have proper emotions, or emotions for the right things, and understand I'm having, instead of when I'm feeling a emotional wreck, I run to go get some ice cream, I'll run to learn, or I'll analyze it, and I'll have those tools that I've learned from the Chassidus to understand why it's coming. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? How should I have an emotion and work and have that ability? And to add light and vitality to your observance of mitzvahs. And ultimately, our mitzvahs will be bright, will be enjoyable, will be lit. May our hearts be whole and true to God, our Lord, in every detail. May the Almighty be our support, and may He illuminate our eyes with the light of the truth of His Torah and Avodah. Amen. Kain Yehi Ratzon, may it be, may this be His will. And it's beautiful things he says. That we should a bracha that we should all have this experience. We should get to the ultimate level of this. Summary: be exceedingly cautious to study with the intention of fulfilling what we learn, namely by engaging in the avodah of prayer, which infuses vitality into one's observance of Torah and mitzvahs in actual practice. And as you can see here, this end here is exactly what we talked about in the beginning. We started in Yud. The whole purpose of the davening is meant to infuse your Torah mitzvahs. He says, practically do it because it will. And let me see what the time is. Yep, got a few minutes. Yeah, perfect. So I want to say a shakar to everyone that has continued on this journey so far. Now we're going to go back to the beginning. So in the beginning, with this basis, you'll be able to hold through when you go in the beginning. The beginning talks about, it teaches us how to learn Chassidus. That's really what we're going to learn. How to learn a Maimer, how to think about it, and things like this. And it's it's beautiful. I guess we'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll continue.